Hi, it's Matt from Tubby Tarot again. Welcome to another book chat. Today, I want to share with you 3 books that I've read and I absolutely hated them. Okay, it's coming up just after this. Hi, and welcome back. Today, I want to tell you about the 3 books that I've read, not recently, I'd say in the past 5 years, that I absolutely hated. These were all 3 books that were highly recommended, and I'm sure you know 1 or 2 of them. In fact, you probably know all 3. And I absolutely loathed them. I did finish them, but I loathed them. And the first one was so bad and so annoying that I don't even have a copy of it anymore. And I think it was by a woman called Rhonda Williams. I'm not 100% sure, but it's called The Secret. Now, this took the world by storm a few years ago, and it was one of those books that said, anything you think of or believe in will come true. Now, up to a point, I'm open-minded, I'm hugely esoteric, I'm into like all kinds of stuff. You guys know me, you know I'm super open-minded. But the more I read this book, the more I realized this woman was talking absolute shit, okay? And the problem here is that if it was just that one book, I'd say, you know what, okay, fine, Rhoda, whatever your name is, you know, we can put you up there with like the mysteries of, you know, the Anunnaki. But this silly book spawned a massive sort of cottage industry of other books. The book that explains The Secret, the book that explains the book that explains The Secret, the photographic version of this book. I mean, there must be like 20 books out there that are like, you know, related to this book, and I hated it. It was the biggest load of shite I've ever read. So if you get a chance to read The Secret, trust me, there's nothing secret about it. It's not worth reading. That's just my opinion. My opinion. Read it if you want to, but cuck. Right. The other book that I read, and I do still have a copy, is Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. Now, I read the Da Vinci Code because everybody read the Da Vinci Code, and I even saw the very good, actually, movie, which I really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed the Da Vinci Code, and it was exciting, and it was fast-paced, and it was a little rubbish, but it was amazing. It was such a good book that I went and I looked for a couple of the other books that Dan Brown had written, and of course, Angels and Demons was the other one that everyone's saying, you've got to read this. Strangely enough, this was written before he wrote the Da Vinci Code. This is the other book with that famous guy. And this was a terribly boring book, hugely boring. It's about the Pope that was assassinated and another Pope comes into power, and how he comes into power, and who's getting him into power. And it just, you know what? I think if I'd read this book first and then the Da Vinci Code, it would have probably made, it would probably I'd have given this maybe a 3 out of 10. At the moment, I'd give it a 1 out of 10 because it was so shite compared to the Da Vinci Code. So I'm not knocking Dan Brown. I think he's a great author. I've read 1 or 2 of his other books, his standalone books, and they're great. He's fun to read. But this one, sorry, mate, thumbs down all the way. Okay, the last one I want to talk about, because I'm only going to do 3, one of my absolute favorite authors, Agatha Christie. I'm absolutely addicted. I'm a Christie super fan. But this, I would say, is probably the second worst Agatha Christie book in her entire collection. It is just so weird. It's the strangest book. It is, I don't know, it doesn't even read like Agatha Christie. You would swear that, I don't know, Robert Ludlum had written this thing. It's incoherent. There are these murders, there are these 4 very political people who are running the world, and it's behind the scenes stuff, and Hercule Poirot doesn't even really feature that much in it, and there's not really like a central murder. This book is literally all over the place. And let me tell you something, out of all the Agatha Christie's, there's only this book and a book called The Third Girl, which I absolutely hate. Every other book is phenomenal. And having said I hate this, I don't hate this as much as I hate this. I'm talking Agatha Christie, man. Anything she writes is great. But as far as Agatha Christie goes, this is probably the second worst book of hers that I've ever read. So there we go. 3 books. The Secret, absolute rubbish. Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, thumbs down. And Agatha Christie's The Big 4, muddled and very, very weird. I hope that you have enjoyed this. Share with me down below the 3 books that you've read and absolutely hated. Just make it 3. I don't want to read essays of lists of 20 books. Just make it 3 and share with me your worst books that you've read. I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot. I will see you next week for some more book chat.